The weather was the coldest in years. When I went to the lake, God told me Mike was not in Lake Seminole. He didn't drown. He didn't get eaten by alligators. I had to find him and bring him home. Judge Hankinson, for the next 17 years, I made telephone calls, put up missing person signs, compiled my notes into a book, and had people post on social media for me. With the help of friends, we raised money and put up billboards. I bought ads in the Tallahassee Democrat and worked with the Twin City News, asking everyone to help me find Mike. I stood on street corners waving my picket signs with pictures of Mike on them. I was cussed out by ministers for being too close to their church. I wrote 2,600 letters to the governor of Florida asking for help in finding my son. I begged Fish and Game to do a criminal investigation. They told me Mike drowned and got eaten by alligators, and there was no need for an investigation. They laughed at me and called me crazy. 9 months after Mike disappeared, his wife, Denise, told me if I continued to seek a criminal investigation, I would lose Ansley, my granddaughter, Mike's only child. Denise might as well have waved a red flag in front of a bull. I knew that she knew where Mike was or what happened to him. Judge Hankinson, I am a fighter, not a victim. I love Ansley, but Mike was my son. I became even more determined to find the truth. If I had not done what I did for 17 years, Mike's disappearance would have never been solved. It took me 3.5 years to get FDLE to open an investigation into Mike's disappearance because the Winchester and Merrill families pushed the theory that alligators had eaten Mike. Fish and Game and FDLE should have known that alligators are ectothermic. They don't eat in cold water. Instead of investigating, they chose to ridicule and call me crazy and tell me that I didn't do things the right way. There is no manual to tell a mother what to do when her child goes missing. I just did what God put on my heart to do. Judge Hankinson, not only did Denise kill my son, she stole my granddaughter Ansley, Mike's only child. For her entire life, Ansley was raised in a house with the murderers of her father while being denied the love of her father's family. She was told that Grandmama Cheryl was crazy and would hurt her. I have had no relationship with her since she was 5.5 years old. Judge Hankinson, there is no amount of prison time that will bring Mike back to me. I don't know if I will ever have Ansley in my life again because of the damage her mother has done. I am asking you to lock Denise Merrill Williams Winchester up for the rest of her life with no chance of parole. She has already lived 18 years longer than my son. She got to watch Mike's daughter grow up. Nick, Mike, and I didn't. Please don't allow Denise to ever be around any of her future grandchildren, because one generation of Williams children growing up around murderers is enough. Judge Hankinson, for the rest of my life, when I try to sleep at night, I will see my son clinging to a tree stump in Lake Seminole in the dark, knowing that his best friend is trying to kill him. I hear his voice screaming for help. I wasn't there to help him. It will haunt me forever. In conclusion, Judge Hankinson, we are in this courtroom today because of God, not Cheryl Williams. I am Mike's mother, and I did what God told me to do. My son's horrific death demands justice. With today's sentencing of Denise Merrill Williams Winchester, I believe justice will have been served. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Further, Mr. Fuchs?
No, Your Honor, as the court has mentioned, there's not a whole lot of discretion with the court. The state concurs with the recommendation of the PSI, which is that Ms. Williams be sentenced to life imprisonment on count number 2 and 30 years in the Department of Corrections on count number 1. And we would agree with that recommendation, Your Honor.
Okay. Come forward with your client, please, Mr. White.
Your Honor, the only outstanding is there was a substantial amount of cost of this investigation. We would like to reserve as to the amount of cost of any restitution as it relates to the cost of the investigation. This has been discussed with Mr. Way previously.
Okay. All right. Based upon the jury, I'm sorry, Mr. Way, anything further?
No, Your Honor.
Yes, I was prejudging based upon your comments. But, based upon the jury verdict in this case, Ms. Williams, I do adjudicate you guilty of counts 1 and 2. On count 1, I sentence you to 30 years, Department of Corrections. On count 2, I sentence you to life in prison. Those sentences run concurrently. Give you credit of 275 days against each sentence. Be $2,100 fine, $105 surcharge, $420 cost, $100 cost of prosecution. We'll reduce that amount to a civil judgment. I'll reserve as to any restitution as requested by the state. We'll set that for a status conference March 5th at 10:30. Ms. Williams does not need to be present for that. She can be sent on to the Department of Corrections. Does that leave anything outstanding?
Your Honor, the only thing is, just want to make clear that it's not only restitution, but any cost of investigation.
Well, including that in restitution.
Making sure. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Right. Anything further, Mr. Way?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Williams, you have 30 days to file notice of appeal. If you can't afford a lawyer, one would be appointed to represent you. Mr. Way, have you discussed with Ms. Williams her status for an appeal attorney?
Yes, Your Honor, and that conversation is ongoing, but in any event, Your Honor, I'll be responsible for making sure the deadlines are met.
All right. The appeal is preserved, the record is preserved.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay. Anything else from either side?
Nothing from the defense, Your Honor.
Nothing from state, Your Honor.
All right. Good luck to you, ma'am. You'll need to step over here with the bailiff.
We've done that, Your Honor.
Okay. Taking care of the.
Yes.
All right.